of brotherhood.
We have liftoff of mission 41D, the first flight of the orbiter Discovery.
From 1984 to 86, the newest orbiter Discovery would fly a record 6 missions.
And liftoff of mission 51D and the 7-member crew of Discovery.
Carrying into space satellites, international astronauts, even a U.S. senator and a congressman. 1 year after Discovery's debut, Atlantis flew her first mission.
Liftoff of Atlantis. A new orbiter joins the shuttle fleet and it has cleared the tower.
STS-51J. It was also one of 7 classified missions the space shuttle would fly for the Department of Defense. By the end of 1985, the space shuttle program had completed 23 missions, including 9 that year alone. Each successful flight had the unintended consequence of convincing some that spaceflight, once considered among humankind's most inherently dangerous endeavors, had become routine. That notion would soon be tragically dispelled.
Well, I am so excited to be here.
Amid much fanfare, Krista McAuliffe, an elementary school instructor from Concord, New Hampshire, had been chosen from among 11,000 applicants to be NASA's first teacher in space.
I would like to humanize the space age by giving a perspective from a non-astronaut, because I think the students will look at that and say, this is an ordinary person. This ordinary person is contributing to history, and if they can make that connection, then they're going to get excited about history, they're going to get excited about the future, they're going to get excited about space.
The American public's interest in its space program was renewed by her participation and was eager to see her off. Commanding the flight was Dick Scobie. His pilot was Michael Smith. Serving as Challenger's mission specialists are Judy Resnick, Ellison Onizuka, and Ron McNair. Joining McAuliffe as a payload specialist was Greg Jarvis. From the start, STS-51L was plagued by delays, mostly due to unseasonably cold temperatures in Florida. Rather than give pause for thought, the delays only tried the nation's patience. Everyone, it seemed, was itching to go. January 28th, the ground temperature at Launch Pad 39B was a frigid 36 degrees. Ice could be seen on the launch vehicle. Despite concerns voiced by some, shuttle managers reluctantly decided to press ahead for a late morning liftoff.
6. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
Challenger, go at throttle up.
At 11:39 Eastern, at twice the speed of sound, the Challenger's fuselage breaks apart from the inside out. America's space program suffers its first fatalities in flight.
God, no.
All 7 Challenger crew members perish.
Okay, everybody, stay off the telephones. Make sure you maintain all your data. Start pulling it together.
We come together today to mourn the loss of 7 brave Americans, to share the grief that we all feel, and perhaps in that sharing to find the strength to bear our sorrow and the courage to look for the seeds of hope.
The investigation, headed by former Secretary of State William Rogers, would fault a solid rocket booster O-ring, rendered defective by the bitter cold. But the Commission's findings also addressed the human factor, the role played by shuttle program managers in sending Challenger aloft that day. The shuttle program came to a halt. It took more than 2.5 years of arduous engineering analysis and painful soul searching before a retooled and reborn shuttle would return to flight.
Challenger was tough because it not only represented a breakdown in communications, but it represented everything that's wrong or wrong about an agency like we are, where segments of the agency weren't talking to each other and didn't know everything that we should know.
We thought we knew where all the risks were and had them pretty well contained. The solid rocket boosters that caused the accident, obviously there was something that had slipped through. So we went back throughout the complete vehicle, all the systems, and did a complete review and trying to find any other things that we may have missed that may be lurking there.
When things are really starting to look smooth and you're starting to get maybe overconfident in a way, then it's time for you to step back, think about what you're doing, go back and look, do some additional testing, and see if there's something that you really hadn't anticipated that is going on with your systems.
During a lot of that time, we got a lot of criticism that maybe the agency had lost its edge. There were folks inside the agency that started losing their confidence, thinking maybe we can't do this anymore. 2.5 years later, when we flew and then landed that flight, it showed that no, we really can overcome really, really large problems, really tough technical problems today, just like we could 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 50 years ago. That was an important milestone.
And liftoff. Americans return to space as Discovery clears the tower.
On September 29, 1988, 975 days after the loss of Challenger and her crew, the orbiter Discovery returned 6